I think, I don't know, fair or unfair, I think it's significant. I think it's an indication. It's the first indication I see in a sign like, okay, the NBA is going to really maybe take on Mark Cuban here. He has been the NBA's nemesis for his entire ownership. He feuded with David Stern. And so I don't think it's a surprise, or I don't think they're disconnected, that on the day that he's in the news about his work environment, the NBA comes at him with a $600,000 fine. I'm hopeful that the NBA is about to take a real hard look at Mark Cuban and the way he conducts business in Dallas.
Well, the NBA has been progressive on gambling. How do you think gambling and tanking go? I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, this is the league that's all in on this gambling movement. Tanking is what, like, Donaghy. That's I mean, so to me, you can talk about it. Mark, here, I'll throw this at you. Jerry Jones is the highest profile NFL owner in a more popular sport.
Yeah.
Is Cuban competing with him in Dallas for the headlines? Because he can't stop talking. Shark Tank.
But he's always been like that.
Yeah, but I mean, no, what I'm saying is Jerry Jones has always been there. So the Cowboys are here, the Mavericks are here, Jerry's here, Cuban's here. Like, couldn't Mark stop talking for a while? Like, he's become too high profile.
He can't help himself. You know, I told you guys yesterday, first of all, I think this is revisionist history. I don't think he's tanking. I think he said that because we're just bad. I mean, they gave Harrison Barnes $94 million over 4 years just a couple summers ago. That's not a tanking move. They just offered Nerlens Noel $70 million over 4 years. That's not a tanking move. So we're horrible. We've made bad decisions. So I'm going to say, yeah, we're tanking. He was trying to be smart about it, and I'm glad the NBA nailed him with a substantial fine.
But they got to get that money to somebody. You know, you have to pay somebody, so that's why you see Harrison Barnes get paid like that. Noel, he's trying to get that money. But I think this is where the problem lies. There's a lot of franchises that are trying to tank, and this is a great move by Adam Silver, not allowing teams to do it. If you talk about it, just like if you tamper, you see Magic get $50,000, you see the $500,000 for the Lakers. If you talk about it out publicly, we're going to fine you for it. Now, if you're going to do it, just do it and make us speculate, yeah, maybe you're tanking. Just like, for example, I talked about it earlier, Phoenix, they were tanking. They took Eric Bledsoe having his best season after coming off an injury, said, hey, sit down so we could tank, lose games, so we could go get Markelle Fultz or Alonzo Ball to replace you. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that they did this, and this should stop organizations from at least coming out and being blatant with the tank.
I go back to Mark Cuban. Why would he say this? Like, yesterday, you were the one that was like, you don't say this public. I mean, it was obvious.
I like Chris's point that it's a deflection from we're not running our organization well. And if you know that Sports Illustrated is working on a story that's going to say, not only are they screwing up things basketball-wise, they have a corrosive, perverted culture within their organization. This all seems like a deflection. And let's just remember who Mark Cuban has been for the 15, 16 years he's owned the Dallas Mavericks. He was supposed to be smarter than every other owner. The Mavericks were supposed to be more innovative and ahead of the curve. They were supposed to be the Golden State Warriors.
Yep.
They got one championship, and it's Dirk Nowitzki. And to me, the guy second most responsible for that is Rick Carlisle, who coached a hell of a series and is a hell of a basketball coach. But in terms of Mark Cuban revolutionizing the NBA, that's never happened.
Yeah.
They're in a situation where they've made a bunch of bad deals, as you suggest, Chris. It's not a well-run franchise.
It's interesting because Mark Cuban has, I think, garnered a reputation of being one of the better owners in the league. I've even said it myself. He's one of the best owners in the league. But when you really start to analyze the moves, he was fortunate Dirk Nowitzki was already there when he bought the team. He let Steve Nash go, which was a horrible move. He went to Phoenix, and the rest is history. Let him go as a free agent. When they did win it in 2011, he disbanded the team. He didn't even try to repeat. He wanted to prepare for the future. And now, since then, they've been a pretty bad ball club, haven't been able to get anybody to play with Dirk that's on that level. So, yeah, I mean, his reputation has really been a lot better than he probably actually has.
There is some mythology with him. I mean, let's be honest. He sold Broadcast Net. He was He was a Facebook guy before Facebook. He was one of the first tech owners. And to your point, you know, the tech guys were like, oh, there's this new smart kid. He was almost a fan. He was the first fan who bought a team. And to your point, I think there was this wave. But I'm telling you, this is a bad look. This is a bad look.
As a player, that was one of the owners that you wanted to try to get on. You know, they had their own plane. They had PlayStations in their locker. So, and they had plenty of food.
They had PlayStation in the workplace.
Yeah. See, and that's unfortunate. That had nothing to do with the players, though. That's bad on his side.
Said the players were
way respectful. Yeah. And you would look at, since he's owned the team, it's only been a handful of seasons that they really been relevant, or they really been right there with an opportunity. The year they won it, in them years with Steve Nash and Don Nelson there. Besides that, the Mavericks really haven't been anybody that you look at and say, oh, man, this is going to be tough when we come through the Texas Triangle. This is a team that we got to beat. You never have to worry about that. I think he's more of he's a flamboyant owner, and guys like players like to get behind a guy like that shows that he has your back. Now, all the stuff that's going on, he didn't have some bad last 24 hours, ain't he?
Oh, man.
Man.
And he may have had aspirations beyond this. You know, I mean, people were pushing him to run for president. Yeah. That's all over.
Whitlock, you buy it?
I believe the NBA and basketball has underachieved. And so I get the gist of what Jerry West is saying. If basketball were run properly, I think it would be far more popular. I'm not someone that thinks the NFL is going to dramatically back up, and that's why the NBA could surpass, you know, the NFL or whatever. I think if basketball ever corrected its college basketball situation and figured out a way to pay the top stars to actually stay in college and build a brand in college and bring that to the NBA, I think that would improve basketball. Again, basketball is the one sport that everybody, my mom, your mom, everybody around the world has played basketball at some level and understands it. Football is one of the most complicated sports going. No one understands it, but it's far more popular than basketball. Basketball has underachieved because it's not run properly. If Jerry West were actually the commissioner of the NBA, I think it would have a chance.
Well, I think I've always thought basketball's star dependent. In college, the stars are the coaches, Calipari and Coach K and Izzo. And those programs are the most popular. In the NBA, the most popular teams, the Lakers have had star centers, Wilt and Kareem, and then Shaq. And then I think football is a little bit bulletproof in terms of it's kind of the shield. It's the system. Whereas I think basketball, Michael Jordan retires, you embrace the wrong players, and like 40% of the fans leave. And I think anytime you're star dependent, you're beholden to an individual, and individuals retire and get hurt and leave. LeBron leaves tomorrow, you lose a third of the popularity of the league.
I think you guys are missing the boat. I agree with Jerry West, and I'm thinking 20 to 25 years, the NBA will be at least on par with the NFL and more popular, I think, because it's going to be global. The world's going to be completely different in 20 years. It won't be about what's more popular in America. It's going to be what's more popular around the world. You may have franchises in these leagues on different continents, and basketball is by far more popular all over the world. So I do think it will overtake football. It's more in line with youth culture or pop culture, hip-hop culture, whatever you want to call it. And then football, we know it's got the concussion issues, and a lot of kids, good, talented athletes, are now not playing football. And as that continues to happen, I think you take.
That's all.
Not to the degree that now.
That's always been the case. A lot of guys,
come on,
man. A lot of guys are scared of football.
Well,
But not 20 years ago. Everybody played
20 years ago, there was a lot of people that were scared of football, and a lot of parents that were scared of football, but there wasn't the national outcry, the national attention to what's going on in football. I've always felt like, hey, and I've talked to the Players Association, embrace it. 1,700 people in the world that can play this gladiator sport. You can't. You weren't touched.
Problem.
Right. That's a you problem. And so I like the contact. I like the hit, and I like all that stuff. I think that gladiator sport is what draws me to it. Like, man, I look at the game now. I'm like, I can't believe I ever played that silly game.
Not everybody can do it.
Right. Not everybody can do it. So embrace that. And the crazy thing is, youth football is being attacked. Youth football is under attack in this state, all over the place, in this country. You know, more girls suffer concussions playing soccer than boys in youth football. But nobody's attacking youth soccer. It's football that's under the attack in this country. And that's why I agree with you. It's not going to be anytime soon, but they're going to keep chipping away at it, chipping away at it, chipping away at it. And eventually, 20, 25 years from now, we may be having a legitimate discussion. I agree with you on this point. The one thing that the NFL has done right, you root for laundry, man.
You do.
You root for laundry. You don't root for players. You root for the laundry. And
I will say this, though. Adam Silver immediately said, I like gambling. Because Adam Silver knew the one thing the NFL has on us, everybody gambles on football.
Yep, that's exactly right.
The first week he was in office, he's like, I don't even think they asked him about it. He was just talking about players and went, I love gambling. That was Adam Silver saying, we're going to close this puppy.
I actually think that's the big advantages football has right now over the NBA are gambling.
I think that's huge.
And fantasy football.
I think it's huge. It's a big component.
Fantasy basketball isn't nearly as big as football.
And I'm asking legitimately because I don't know, and this may reveal my stupidity. But isn't gold more valuable than silver because it's more scarce? Isn't there's less gold, and that's why it's more valuable. And so, again, there's less football, the scarcity. Basketball,
There's less boxing. I mean, you talk about gladiator sport. Not everybody can. Fewer people want to box than want to play football. And boxing used to be king, but a lot of the greatest athletes stopped boxing, went into other sports.
No. But my point is, again, one of the things that drives the popularity of football is
Not many games.
not many games.
I give
There are
urgency.
so
Right.
many games in the NBA that it's just
it's never
it's a value.
a primetime game in the NFL gets a 14. A primetime game in the NBA gets a 1-4. You know, ratings-wise, I mean that is a huge discrepancy.
If you were Adam Silver, so he's already said I like gambling, which I believe is his attempt to move toward the NFL, where gambling is accepted, but not, we all know the NFL likes gambling, they just don't want to talk about it. The second thing is, if he cuts games.
Now you're talking. Now you're making good decisions.
Okay, so gambling Silver and let's cut games, it would create urgency, which to your point is scarcity, meaning each
Right.
game means more.
Right,
Yes.
you can't have your star players all of a sudden you've got a Saturday nationally televised game and your star players go, well, I've played 3 games in a row, man. I'm gonna take today off, right? Because that crushes your league.
It does.
They need to fix some. There's a lot of things they need to fix.
You mentioned college basketball. College basketball, it was more popular, more interesting when it was just that Saturday afternoon game. You had about 2 games on Saturday.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to watch it, maybe one during the week. Now they're on every night of the week. You can watch any game. So to your point.
And very good games on a Friday night or a Thursday, yeah.